Hello and welcome to the universe. Welcome to the Season 5 review of My Hero Academia. I'm joined today, John Kearns, I never say my name first, joined by Brianna Farley, Tim Farley, Bethany Nash, and The Undertaker, apparently.
It was perfect. That was perfect.
I had to get my ab workout in for the day.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, for those of you, it just turned on for you, but like she had been doing that for the past like half hour.
Yeah.
While we all talked.
She's so ripped.
She like banged out. She banged out like 150 sit-ups.
100 reps. Yeah.
You could see you could see her growth on Instagram.
You can see my growth in my medical records.
which will be posted post haste.
All right. We weren't here last week, so we're here this week to review Dos Episodes. Excuse me. We're going to talk about episodes 103 and 104. Episode 103 was titled One Thing at a Time. Hawks makes his way into a mansion, entering a room facing a board of people, which includes representatives of the League of Villains, Dabi, Himeko Toga, Twice, and Spinner. As he explains the work he has been doing in spreading the word of the Meta Liberation War, one of the men praises Hawks for understanding the words of Destro, while Twice pipes in saying he doesn't get it, asking Hawks to teach him, which he happily agrees to. As he continues to tell the commission, the commission has been focusing on connecting the League to the Deka City incident and how they've started training the next generation. Himeko gleefully reacts to seeing Izuku in the footage from their recent fight. Dabi comments how they don't appear to have grown much, which he points out, which causes Hawks to point out that they are still just students. Hawks is dismissed. Standing outside the room, Hawks secretly leaves one of his feathers in the doorway to continue listening in on the conversation. As Spinner mentions that they will continue to keep morale for the troops up, Himeko adds that in 4 months everything will be destroyed by Tomura Shigaraki. What do we think?
I was right. Hawks is not a bad guy. I will take defeat, okay? Hawks was a good guy. He had me there in the beginning, and I was like...
They had us in the first half, not gonna lie.
But he proved that he was a good guy. And when we get later in the episode, it'll prove why he's a good guy.
I don't know if it was in this segment or later, but I don't think it will mess up the flow of the show if I bring it up. Hawks says about Dabi saying that he wasn't like they didn't grow much, and Hawks said that he swung in on purpose so that they wouldn't see how good the students have become.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really smart and awesome.
Cool. Very cool.
He's like, he wants them to underestimate them. He wants them to know that, like, oh, they're still learning. They're still kids. Like, they don't know anything. And then when the actual fight happens, they'll be like, oh, wait a minute. Hawk said that they were underdeveloped and that everything was, like, normal.
It also makes sense that he did it for these three specifically, because they're, like, not, like, the main focus, but when it comes to, like, being the strongest and like most powerful ones in the class, it's probably those three, because everything ends up revolving around them.
Yeah, and like they're in the news, like
they're with the number one hero,
and Hawks taking
and Bakugo were in the news, so like they're doing really well.
They're definitely the Harry, Ron, and Hermione of UA.
Yes, and Hawks taking credit for the incident with Stain actually helps to their advantage because nobody knows how powerful they are.
Yeah. True.
Yeah,
Secret weapons.
only thing I'm going to mention here is how much I love Toga's reaction to seeing Izuku again.
Yeah.
Toga's probably one of my favorite villains,
That
and I
bitch is down
understand that
bad.
they're villains, but Toga's relationship with Twice, like their friendship, is probably one of my favorite in this
Yeah.
entire series. I'm so glad we get to see more of it this season.
I like
Because
Twice.
Toga really keeps Twice from going nuts.
Yeah.
Now, this does make me wonder. You know, it seems like the League of Villains is kind of like fully integrated into the Liberation.
Yeah.
But
Because we had
saw
been
in
wondering
season,
about that.
we saw in season 4, Shigaraki and company know how to use other people up until the very last moment. So
Yeah.
whenever this shit goes down, is it going to be the Liberation Front and the League of Villains, or is the League of Villains, or is Shigaraki going to usurp whatever power is available to take control of the situation?
Right.
Well, they are. So probably.
I feel like he's going to end up taking control of the situation, but I feel like what they're mainly trying to do at the moment with the Liberation is get rid of the current pros. Because Shigaraki has like a bullseye on Deku, has since the very first season. So like he's been watching him. That like it hasn't been shown as much in the past seasons because of everything else that's been going on. But we always know where Deku is, Shigaraki's following close behind. So I feel like he's just trying to get the pros out of the way so it can be him and Deku.
Well, I think he knows.
Before anyone figured out, or before the truth about Izuku and All Might was revealed, the first one to put together their connection was Shigaraki.
Yep.
He doesn't know everything that Bakugo knows right now.
Yeah. All for one.
He was the one who first made the correlation.
All for one even outright said it to All Might during that fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if he knows, then he is definitely suspecting or knows that Izuku is the successor.
And we don't really know who knew first. Because, like...
So I think that Tomura is very weary of letting it come to fruition.
Yeah.
That's why he has his eyes set on him. He's watching him because he's like, you're not going to be the next symbol piece.
Symbol piece, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll keep reading here. Hawks attempts to investigate how many heroes are part of the Liberation Army and what Tomura is planning, with some trouble due to the enhanced security in the building. He surmises that storming the mansion now wouldn't be of use, and that he needs to determine the locations and numbers all throughout Japan as fast as possible so they can make a move in one fell swoop. Meanwhile, Endeavor manages to decode the message the enemy is the Liberation Army. They number over 100,000 in 4 months to action. Before that, I'll send a signal. In case of failure, more manpower. He recalls a conversation with the Public Safety Commission president, who requested his assistance in helping the students gain more experience, figuring out that Hawks and the commission are working behind closed doors to confront the enemy, and that is the purpose of the work studies. Outside the office, Burnin states that since Endeavor wanted to work with Shoto, the other two will probably have to work with the Flaming Sidekickers, which enrages Katsuki, forcing Izuku to try to calm him down. Shoto doesn't agree and prepares to talk with him, until Endeavor arrives, facing the 3 interns and telling them he will look after them. What about?
Well,
again, I was right. I was right. I love it when I'm right.
wait.
So I said in the last podcast that I felt like Hawks was the one pushing for the students to go into the work studies to help them get ready to fight for the war that's coming, which is kind of confirmed in this episode.
Yeah.
But let's talk about real quick Endeavor's growth, because once he got that information, he got the information, he could have easily been like, no, I just want to focus on my son and his powers, but he took that and he went, okay, it's my job to train these people. Let's go. Let's do it. I will train the three of you, and we will figure this out together.
I'm willing to lay down the gauntlet and say that I was proud of Endeavor in this episode.
Yeah, honestly, the amount of character growth that Endeavor has done just over the past 5 seasons is probably one of the
Just
best
over the past
ones
3 or
in
4
the series.
episodes.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, Endeavor to me is not like a super clever character. He's like a strong man. So, like, I was kind of surprised of how much he figured out and how quickly he figured it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was surprised.
He's kind of a meathead.
Yes.
They present him as such, but now we understand why he was always right behind All Might.
Almost kind of the same way, though, in some ways.
Yeah, All Might's blonde.
Yeah.
But could you just imagine if Endeavor would have put his indifferences aside and actually worked together with All Might, how much they actually could have
Japan would be
together?
Japan would be a utopia by now.
Exactly.
But like, I kind of feel
They would actually have flying cars. They're supposed to.
I kind of feel like that's part of Endeavor's growth. Everyone that knows me, I don't have the kindest spot in my heart for Endeavor.
You don't have the time of day for Endeavor.
No, it is slow, and I do mean slowly growing. But like, I kind of feel, because we know that he knows that there's a connection between All Might and Deku. He doesn't know what it is, but he knows that All Might sees something in him that he saw in himself. So he wants to, like, make up for, like, past mistakes, because he sees how Deku and Todoroki are close. So he's just like, I don't want them to follow in my footsteps, because I know now it could have gone a lot smoother and it would have been a lot better. There would have been, like, no crime at all. So he's just paving the way for a better society of heroes.
Yeah.
He's basically doing a parent's job of doing his best job to make sure his kid is the best that his kid can be.
Yes. Finally, he's being a parent.
All right. We already talked about Hawks revealing that he purposefully made it look like the students weren't doing anything. So we'll move on to the gym at the agency, where Endeavor is talking to the students. Endeavor asks Izuku and Katsuki. I'm going to say Deku and Bakugo. I'm sick of reading those words. Endeavor asks Deku and Bakugo to tell him what they want to work on. Deku starts saying he wants to control his power at the fullest. Endeavor recalls how he has super strength that also hurts him, with Deku adding that he found a way to control it, however, that it has recently started manifesting in a different way, struggling to explain it while Katsuki looks on irritated. Endeavor asks to see it, so Izuku unleashes a small wisp of Black Whip, which is the most he can release without it going out of control. When Endeavor asks what he wants to do with it, Izuku proceeds to go on a lengthy, rambling explanation on how he wants to use it as a whip, just like how he uses Air Force as a long-distance attack. However, since both abilities require more intense focus due to the strain on his body they give him, since he can currently handle about 10 to 15% power, and they require at least 20%. He wants to find a way to easily go back and forth between them. Burnin, Katsuki, and Shoto are unable to follow along. However, to Burnin's surprise, Endeavor is able to understand it and responds to his concerns.
Yeah. Endeavor is in this episode.
I gotta catch my breath. I wish they would have wrote out the whole thing that he said.
I just thought that was really amazing how, like, Endeavor understood what Deku was trying to say.
Yeah, he was really listening.
Because we just talked about that, where he's like,
he really was. Like, he was like, okay, so this is exactly what you want to do. And he's like, oh, okay. Oh, well, great.
When we talked about, when you said that All Might's blonde, it made me think, how much would have gotten done? Would we even have Bakugo back if it wasn't for Gran Torino? I don't know.
But, like, remember when Eraser said about All Might. When did he suddenly get good at this? And he had the book of
Right.
for
Like
dummies.
how to
Fucking
teach
that book
students for idiots or something.
All of a sudden, he's
Yeah.
like amazing.
hmm But I also think it's important to say that during that whole like Deku thing, Endeavor says, "Oh, so he's like me,"
Yeah, I really want to know
And
what that
I'm-
meant.
and I'm thinking that Endeavor actually was like his power was passed on, and that's why it was so important for him to get his kids to have like 2 quirks.
I took it as this is what I was thinking because at first, because he says that he
Or just
says
that he couldn't control it at first.
he says you're like me, and then Deku like looks away with a question mark.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, and I started thinking, you know what? He's comparing Deku to All Might, and maybe he's thinking, is this how All Might was in the beginning? And he's like, All Might was like us.
Yeah. Or maybe he's thinking like, oh, he's more like me than like All Might.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He had to work at it.
Yeah.
Like I think he's realizing it about All Might.
See, immediately to me, it made me wonder if Endeavor started out quirkless.
That's it
But I
made me
don't know.
think the same thing.
I thought that first, and then I went to the thing where he was like insecure about how awesome All Might was, and thinking All Might was just like because I think he says us. You're just like us,
Yeah.
and I think he meant
Maybe
all
he
the
was
other-
talking about All Might. Yeah.
yeah. I think
Maybe.
that's what he meant.
I kind of feel like
You know
he
All
was
Might
talking
lives in the
about-
man's head rent free.
Yes, that he does. I kind of feel like he was talking about All Might and himself.
Yeah.
Not that Endeavor was quirkless, but with a quirk as powerful as his, with especially like how much he has to learn how to use like through UA and the hero course,
Yeah.
he
like
probably had the hardest time being able to control that. The same way
Endeavor-
Todoroki had a problem controlling it.
like the way Deku had to learn how to control the power without hurting his body, Endeavor probably had to learn how to control his without hurting others or damaging structures.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably know that All Might had to go through the same thing because he
Mhm.
was also quirkless.
Yeah.
So like they had to essentially learn from each other better ways to help them control their power.
So
Yeah.
Endeavor recalls his conversation with Izuku at the sports festival, comparing his power to All Might's. Turning to him and saying he's had trouble with his quirk, so he's one of us. To Izuku. To Izuku's slight confusion. Endeavor then asks Katsuki, who replies that he wants to learn what he cannot do. He states that with Explosion, he's already been able to do everything he's wanted, but since then he's learned he needs more than power if he wants to achieve his goal of surpassing the #1 hero. Endeavor concludes the presentations, only to be stopped by Shoto asking to go next. He annoyingly responds that he knows he wants to master Flashfire Fist, but Shoto instead talks about how he had put all of his training into his right side and spent so much time with pointless hatred towards him. However, since spending time with everyone at UA, he started to go down the path he wanted him to do. But he reminds him that it was All Might who is the one who inspired him, and that he has come to the agency as a fledgling hero, wanting to learn how to be a worthy hero, not as his son. Endeavor recalls Shoto's words, how Endeavor the hero was amazing, but that he still cannot forgive him and wants to see where his father goes from here, leading him to feel depressed, thinking that he was starting to open up to him a little, but that he was mistaken. Accepting the situation, he turns and tells the three that they will start their training and that he will think of them only as heroes moving forward.
But I think that's what Todoroki wanted in the first place. He just wanted, like, yeah, I'm your kid, but don't think of me as a kid, as your child. Think of me as a hero training. Like, I don't want that special treatment. I don't want you to, like, treat me differently. Like, treat me like you're going to treat them. And I just want 100%, like, equal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
know
Endeavor coming back and not saying anything and just being like, okay,
Alright, cool.
I'm gonna treat you all the same and you're
Major
just
growth.
heroes to me. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
I feel like, I mean, he had already changed his mind because he was like, I'm only concerned about training Shoto, and you guys can do whatever. You can just watch me. And then he found out what's really
That book
happening.
really changed his tune. I'll say.
Yeah, but he already changed it because of what he knows is coming. So
Yeah.
he already kind of had that in mind that, like, I'm going to help them. That's why he asked them, what do you need to get better?
Mhm.
And so he's already doing well. And I think that, I mean, Shoto's not aware of that at that point. And I think after seeing how he had acted up until that point, he was worried that his dad was going to keep treating him special.
Yeah.
Know that Shoto really meant it in a way that Endeavor took it, because Endeavor really took it to heart. He's like, oh, I thought I was making progress. I think he is making progress in the relationship, but I think Shoto just wanted to make it clear that while his friends are there, he wants to be all business.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
especially because
Good stuff.
even before, like, he said, even like before he said that he would train all three of them, Shoto even said, I'll talk to him. I'm not going to be the only one training with him. And I do
Yeah.
agree with like what you said. I do feel like there has been like some growth, but Endeavor has to realize, like you said, what they're doing right now is business, not family. Family
Yeah.
is what happens when you're not literally a flaming dickhead all the time.
Yeah.
Like, the flames are off, the scars on full display. That's when being a father comes into play. And I feel like him saying that it was All Might that inspired him kind of like helped him realize that. Like, when it comes to being a hero, this is who inspired me. This is the person I wanted to be like. How can you show me that you're also what I want to be like? Because you're the one that I have to be like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very good. Outside the agency, Endeavor informs the three training heroes about how rescue, evacuation, and fighting are the three fundamentals that most hero agencies follow, and that while most agencies focus on one or the other, his does all three. He explains how he knows the ins and outs of his jurisdiction and immediately acts for any incident or accident he detects, using fire to keep any stray civilians away, referring to it as his parallel processing, which catches Deku's attention. He proceeds to tell them that over this winter to capture a villain faster than him just once. He receives a notification through his earpiece, rushing into action, with Bakugo, Deku, and Shoto chasing behind. Deku thinks back to his experience with One for All, how he's been slowly starting to catch up with everyone, and how he had to practice with the full cowling to keep it all under control. He then remembers the fifth One for All user's words, and that he needs to hurry up so he can master the six other quirks. Endeavor continues to chase toward a hit and runner, riding a motorcycle, trying to make an escape, who stops before he slips through an alleyway. While the sidekickers arrest the villain, the trainees arrive too late, with Katsuki saying that it takes longer for him to get warmed up in the winter. Shoto tells Katsuki that he noticed the reason Endeavor is so fast is because he shoots fire from below his feet to propel himself and blast off, recognizing it since it is similar to his abilities, which Katsuki claims to have already noticed being similar to how he uses his explosions. Endeavor then adds that the street above was an intersection, meaning he was able to determine which path the culprit was most likely to use. While the sidekickers deal with the villain, Endeavor blasts off again, with the students following suit. Shoto attempts to use his fire to help propel him faster on his ice side. Izuku asks about leaving the sidekicks behind, with Endeavor responding that while he worked with Hawks in Kyushu, heroes need to be able to do everything on their own. He praises Katsuki for his skill and his abilities, however, reminding him he is still far behind for him. Katsuki tries to make the same reasoning about the winter, but Endeavor tells him he can't keep making excuses, as in these kinds of situations, everything is life and death, as he effortlessly stops a truck from running into a woman. Guys, what do we
Didn't
think?
Bakugo say that Endeavor copied him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at some
And I'm
point, yeah.
Was he not doing that before? Is that a whole new thing for Endeavor? Like I was
No,
like,
it's just Bakugo's ego.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably,
yeah, totally.
Bakugo is the Endeavor before he talked to All Might.
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, I think Endeavor's gonna, like, work hard with Bakugo to show him that, like, it's okay to be confident, but you can't be, like, this confident.
You can't be cocky.
Yeah, like, you have to be, like, nice about it. Like, Endeavor was a big... He was always, like, the mean one. Like, oh, well, that's Endeavor. He's not nice. And then, over the course from All Might falling and him becoming number one, he's showing people that there's another side of him that's, like, nicer and kinder. And, like, you can actually, like, trust me to be there for you.
Yeah, you saw that with how he was with those kids when he stopped that guy that had, like, the wheel hands or whatever he had.
Yeah.
And you saw it when they came up to him and said thank you, that the first thing he said was, are you guys okay, or are you hurt? And then told them to hurry up and get home.
Yeah.
Like, that's not really how he used to be. And, like, when he saw
He
the
used to
Look
tell him to
Boy...
get out of the way.
Yeah. And when he saw Look Boy in the street and said, you have no reason to be afraid, and fucking the Look Boy was like, Endeavor doesn't do fan service. You're completely different. You've changed. I hate you. And went home.
Yeah.
But, like, I want to say that was the fight with the Nomu.
Yeah, it was.
That
I was
happened.
just...
And, like,
I
feel
was
like
just
that
saying,
was,
like, that's where it kind of started.
Yeah, because he, like, didn't like him. He was just like, screw Endeavor and everything like that. But then everyone was just like, oh my god, All Might's not here.
Yeah, and once the fight
we're gonna
started...
die. And then the Look Boy was just like, he's the one out there fighting for us. Like, he's not
Like,
giving
it
up.
finally snapped for him.
hasn't-
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it's like the entire community at that point changed, realizing
They
that you're
noticed what
gonna
was
see
happening. Yeah.
you're gonna see a different Endeavor because he's no longer behind All Might. He is the All Might. He's in All Might's position.
Like, All Might's
So
gone.
not only are the students trained to become better heroes,
Endeavor himself
is going through his own training on his own by himself with no instructor on how to become the hero
I was just going to say.
that everyone needs.
Yep.
I was just going to say the argument could be made that his training is harder.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
He
like,
has to change something that he's been doing for so long, and
but
now
that
he has
fight
to
with the Nomu made people realize All Might's gone. We need to get the fuck over it. He's the guy. He's the guy.
Yep. He's the person that we're gonna put our trust in.
So Izuku is helping out the civilians. Endeavor gives Shoto and Katsuki the same assignment, to learn how to store up and condense their powers, to be able to release it at maximum impact until they can do it without thinking. Izuku excitingly relates it to Katsuki's AP shot, which he angrily yells back at. Endeavor adds that since Shoto is at the point where he can control the shape of his ice, to try to do it with his fire. During a break, Endeavor asks Izuku if he can control his maximum output without thinking, which he says yes with full cowling. However, he still needs to think for Air Force. Endeavor tells him to focus on controlling Air Force first and worry about the secondary ability for later, which is Black Whip. When he asks about parallel processing, Endeavor talks about how everyone uses parallel processing subconsciously, using the example of a driver who through practice was able to do everything without thinking. He tells him that first he needs to learn how to do two things at once without thinking, and once he succeeds, to throw in another thing. Endeavor concludes telling them to take everything they learned in school and apply it to real life experience, stating that they can practice and fail as much as they want, as it won't have any effect on his work. Zuko thinks about how much he's grown and gained thanks to All Might, yet still has so much to learn, and that he will go beyond one thing at a time. In this scene, something that makes me laugh every time I watch it is Endeavor absolutely destroying that bun while talking to Deku.
He full on just like shoved it in his mouth and was like, well,
Just
let's keep
fucking
going. When you're on the move, you gotta just eat and go. You don't have time to stop.
I ain't got time for chewing.
I really liked that scene.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not the big, like I said it before, I'm not the biggest fan of Endeavor, but I really loved that scene between the two of them because
It's kind of where he finally goes, all right, I'll help the kid. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel like it's not even that. It's kind of like a full circle moment, at least for like me, because before they do the work studies and everything like that, when they're talking to All Might says this is going to be, you can learn so much from him. That when it comes to dealing with more than one ability, unfortunately, that's not something that All Might can teach because that's not something he's had to deal with. But Endeavor has because he had to teach Todoroki. So, like, he had to teach Todoroki the exact same thing he has to teach Deku now. And now he's at a point where he will actually, like, respect and see the process that's happening instead of just trying to ingrain it in someone's mind.
That's a good fucking point. That's a good point. He's already seen how he's failed with Shoto, so he's not going to do that with Deku.
Mm-hmm.
And
I will say
a great point with All Might, where he's never taught anybody before. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. That's why he needed that book, where Endeavor already has some of that experience.
And I will say it's a full circle moment because when he passed Deku, he was like, oh, it's his quirk, not mine. Like, that's not a comment that Deku made to Todoroki at the sports festival. So for Endeavor to actually be like, hey, here's what you need to do.
To me, that almost sounded like a thank you, a hidden thank you as well.
Definitely
a little bit.
Definitely was.
But for him,
thank you.
Yeah, because when he said it in a way where you kind of got the sense that he realizes that that was the starting point of Shoto using his fire, which eventually would lead to him sort of being like, hey, Dad, how do I do this? How do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Deku didn't say it in a, oh, fuck your dad or whatever like that. He said it
in a fuck your dad way. Totally. He absolutely did.
I mean, that's how it came across, but you have to think of it in the moment. He looks at Todoroki and he's just like, he's not here. This is not his. He's not the one using it. He's not pulling the strings. It's all you.
It was like a It was like a 30% fuck your dad and a 70% wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
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 Like,
but
you're
exactly
in UA,
like you
bitch.
said.
This is the sports festival. Get moving.
Exactly like you said. It caused Todoroki to start using his fire side more and actually reach out to Endeavor and say, hey, how can I control this?
So, but at the same time, it was fully explained right then and there why he was kind of being so cold with Deku at first.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I heard what you said. Thought I was going to hear that shit, would you? So yeah, anything else to say about episode 103 before we move on?
Well, just that parallel processing seems impossible. Like, I don't think I could do that. Like, it's like multitasking, but like a higher level.
I kind of think we all do it every day. I kind of took what Endeavor said to heart. Or like Endeavor said.
You drive.
As the psych major of the group, it's actually something that we do all the time. So like I'm sitting here talking, but like I'm also thinking about like everything that I have to do. So like I'm sitting here talking, but I'm also thinking about the homework that I have to do later on after this. That's like the parallel processing.
But like, are you really, or are you stopping one and starting the next one? Like, and then stopping that one and doing this one? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you really? Like, can you actually do?
She's still engaged and she's still talking.
Yeah. It's not like thinking about it, it's kind of like flip-flopping back and forth. But it's all like subconscious. Like you never stop thinking about both things. And I really liked the example that he gave. Like me, there are some times that I'm driving home from work that I don't even realize that I made it home because it's just something that like I'm used to doing every day.
Yeah.
There's a hilarious John Mulaney joke that's along the same lines, where he's like, "You ever been just thinking about something for 20 minutes and then realize, oh shit, I'm driving."
Yeah,
I love John
like
Mulaney.
that's
Yes.
the example that they used is I really like that example like as a psych major because I love when you can like tie in things like that.
And like Tim, when he's fucking cooking, like he can have multiple dishes going at once while he's focusing on this one. He's also not going to let that one burn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, I wash dishes while I cook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like thinking about it, it's switching one to the other, but it's all happening like subconsciously, both at the same time.
You're like keeping track of them all.
Yeah.
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 I guess that makes better sense.
So episode 104 was a bit of a filler, but it was very fun and had a lot of cute stuff and a lot of cool stuff too.
It was a bit of a filler, but also
It progressed the story.
what it was about does have to do with where this story's going forward.
Yes.
And
Kind of like how
we did get some fan service in this one. When the girls were at
well,
the beach.
Minetta did.
That's the next thing.
No, fans will say stuff. I'm sure they already have.
Next episode.
What?
That's not
what?
the one. We're still
Yes,
talking about.
No,
We're about to
not.
start talking about the new episode.
Oh,
We're
okay.
about to start-
Maybe she can't parallel process.
Maybe not.
I am very tired.
You have to learn. You have to go to Endeavor's agency. Come back next week. I'll tell you. So, kind of in the same way that a lot of shows do this. Like Steven Universe does it for sure. A lot of cartoons do, where the filler episodes, even if they are filler technically, they're still really good episodes and they still progress storylines. Where I'm of the mind that a show like Steven Universe, and this is where I differ from a lot of fans, is a show that has no filler episodes.
No.
Except for Say Uncle. But
Yes.
That's because of the Cartoon Network, not because of the creators.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I can go on a whole rant about why it's fuck Cartoon Network every day, but we're going to talk about episode 104, which was titled Long Time No See, Selkie.
I love Selkie.
He's so cool.
He's so cute.
Having
I
him,
love him.
finally having him in another episode made me feel justified for having his sticker on my other monitor. Because I put that there.
If you don't mind, I could do a recap of this.
Yeah.
And give you a break.
Yeah, yes,
I can do
please.
the recap if you want me to.
Anybody
that's
but
fine.
me, please, actually, because my throat actually hurts.
Do you want to do it, Tim, or do you want me to do it?
Well, I was just gonna go off the top of my head because it's pretty fresh in my mind. But
Go
if
for
you
it,
want
dude.
to,
No, you're good.
fine,
Go ahead.
too.
You're good. I'll do it next time.
But yeah,
All
like,
So this episode had to do with Froppy, Chaco, and Nejiri, who are training with the number 10 hero,
ooh, can I say
Ryukyu.
something really quick? At the very beginning, we got to see a bit of a recap of what was going on with Deku and Shoto Akatsuki. But we also, they explained where everybody else is going. And I love the fact that Tetsu went
know
with
you're-
Amajiki and Kirishima.
And Kirishima, I know.
I love that Tetsu went with them.
Yes, I agree.
I love that group.
Who
That-
else?
The whole
There was
thing.
one other group that they mentioned.
Oh,
specifically.
Kaminari,
Yeah,
Kaminari,
Kaminari.
Mineta.
with Kamui
Who
Woods.
else? Who was with them? Yeah,
And
they're
Mount-
with Kamui Woods and Mount Lady. Team,
Yeah.
what are they fucking called?
Lurkers or something?
Team Lurkers, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
It's a weird name.
It is.
They,
I
It's
was
a
they,
little bit of a
they
creepy-
don't,
It
They
makes
don't
sense
lurk.
that Minetta's
They
in the
don't.
Team Lurkers.
Mineta, yes.
Well,
But
it makes
That's
sense
how
that
I
he's
remember-
there because he's he's going to learn how to control his perversions while being next to Mount Lady, which
Mhm.
he's already starting to.
Because he
He is.
already was kind of like, why is Mount Lady even here? She's the most showy hero of all.
Yeah.
Like, he said that.
Yeah.
Right.
He said,
So,
that's
anyway,
not even here.
Ochako, Nejiri, and Froppy are with the
What's
number
it called?
10 hero, Ryukyu, the
She's so fucking
dragon
cool.
hero. And yes, she's fucking awesome. She's cool looking. I was a little
She's also
upset
inspirational.
about something, and I'll bring that up at the end, I guess. But
Like her thing.
so we find out that Trigger, which is the drug that was used previously in season 4 when Karashima
Knife guy.
bought the knife guy, is still making its rounds around Japan, and there was a huge
Heavily
forest
produced.
fire because they heard rumors and such that it was a Trigger factory and that it was intentionally set on fire and exploded because the people who were there doing it took all of the Trigger before it blew up and didn't want the investigation to go further, so they blew up the entire place.
Yeah.
Ryukyu was wondering if this was true, and Nejiri said, I think Nejiri or one of her sidekicks said it was all rumors because we don't really know. Then the scene switches, and we see Selkie and Sirius and the Opta Mariner at sea, and he's saying over the ship's megaphone or whatever, stop. These are Japanese territorial waters, and he kind of goes a little overboard. He threatens them, and Sirius tells Selkies, "Now you need that. That was a little bit too much. You're provoking them." And he was like, so then he said something else, and he said something like, "You better stop or I'll be in trouble." And Sirius was like, "That's not cute."
It's not cute.
And
It's super cute.
we find this guy comes out. They're watching him, and before they could do anything, he
That did
injects
not
Trigger.
like that. Mm-mm.
He injects
No.
Trigger into his neck, and apparently his quirk was smokescreen, basically, which
So,
it made a bunch of smoke so that they could get away.
is
And
that dude's villain name Tryptophobia? What the fuck was that?
I
hated that.
I physically gagged every time I saw him. I had my hand on the screen while the subtitles were going on, just so I didn't have to look at him.
Fucking
That
hell.
physically makes
That
me
was so
uncomfortable.
bad.
what?
The holes. I hated it.
It's
Oh.
called trichtophobia.
Oh, I'm not aware.
Uh,
But anyway, so they get away, and Selkies is like, well,
Omajiki's joined us.
if we are dealing with Trigger here, then we're going to have to get more fighters. So he realizes that they are in the Venice Islands, I believe. It started with a V and ends with a Z, whatever. And that they aren't going to be able to just track them using the boat. They're going to have to use the sky. So he proposes a team up with Team Ryukyu, to which Ryukyu says yes. Froppy is very excited because she did her internship with Selkies. I keep saying Selkies. Selkie. And she had a great time, and she tells him that she really grew from that, and that he taught her what heroes are supposed to do. And it was pretty much saying we follow what the head of the operation says, and we don't doubt ourselves, and we just follow that. And at one point, this isn't really a big deal, but and that's why I forgot about it, but I'm remembering now. At Ryukyu's agency, we see Uraka come out with a new suit.
Yeah.
And Nezuri asks, "Oh, why did you get a new suit?" And she gets all red in the face, and she says it's a secret. And they're like, "Ooh, it's a secret. That's cool." And Nezuri's like, "That's not cool. That's weird." You know, like, but
You know,
Dude,
the
definitely
one,
reason is because
you know, the
Uchako-
one thing that I noticed about the suit was the fucking thing that looked like ears.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All I'm saying is the look on Sue's face. She knew. She knew it was all Deku.
Down
Oh
bad.
yeah, and if
Down
Ashido was there, she would have been like, "Oh, it's because of Deku, isn't it?"
Shut up! Shut up!
Exactly. But I really did think it was cool how when the dragon and the seal, they were talking, and then like, it's peaceful right now. Like, we're not gonna tell them about the mission. We're not gonna tell them anything. We're gonna let them have their fun, because this is what they need to know. Like, just because like we have the fight ahead of us, like,
That's the
you have
difference.
to work for the peace. Like,
Yeah.
you like
Wait.
to try and be like this, be like, you have to work
Endeavor
for
would
the
have been
peace.
like, "Shit's fucked. Let's go."
Yeah, we get to the area where they're going to start the mission, and Selkie tells them to have fun, and they're playing volleyball, and they're having a barbecue, and they're swimming, and they're having a great time, and I'm like, "Whoa, Nezuri's hot." No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, then they have a conversation at the end of that, and Ryukyu was like, "Oh, it's because you're doing this because you want them to see what they have to protect and everything like that." And Selkie just said, "It's just all about getting in the right mindset before having
Yeah.
to fight it back." Like,
Yeah.
he didn't want to go real too in deep with it, but she did, and I thought that was really cool because she said something like, "As heroes, we're shown evil and we have to fight evil all the time. So this is nice."
Yeah.
I gotta say,
So then-
I really like Selkie.
I love Selkie. I love what Selkie taught Sue.
Yeah.
Like, their pairing together, probably one of the best pairings ever, because their quirks
It was my
aren't-
favorite internship arc episode.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because like it's not the same quirk, but it's similar enough that she could have been taught so much more than what she could have anywhere else. And watching her like gain the confidence from watching Selkie, like what she does later on in the episode, because we haven't gotten to there yet. Season 1 Sue, season 2 Sue, even for that, wouldn't have tried what she did in this season,
Yeah.
like what she did in this episode.
We talked about it in her team's episode against Class 1B. She was the MVP of her team,
Mhm.
and that wouldn't have happened if she didn't train under Selkie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he says that we're not going to start until night anyway because they are not going to move during daylight.
Mhm.
So then we hear a little bit from the villains, and they're saying, well, the villains in this episode, not the League of Villains, and they're
Mhm.
saying that should we tell the people who ordered this what's going on? And the other guy says, no, we just move out, and if they're coming after us, we're going to have to use some of this trigger. And so they start to move out at night, and of course, Selkie and Ryukyu and everybody is together and they're ready to go. And everybody loads up onto the ship to leave except Ryukyu and Nezuri because they will be the ones in the sky. And I thought it was fantastic that not only were they on the surface and in the sky, but Selkie also went underneath. And I was like, okay, there's no way these dudes are getting away.
Yeah.
So at some point, Selkie, when they find them, it was like point 57, and they found it because Selkie, who is the spotted seal, he can use sonar, and he found where their location was. And once the ship started going towards it, of course, the smoke screen came out. And Sirius relays this information. Ryukyu and Nejire are there. They can't do anything because of the smoke screen. So Selkie and Froppy, who is on his back, go underneath, come up on top of the boat, and Selkie makes the two people on the boat his bitches with Selkie punch, and we see everybody thinks that everything's going swimmingly, and
Hey.
what happens is we see a plane that's kind of like a hovercraft, like a seaplane,
It's a seaplane.
and it's starting to go. And now everybody's attention's on this, and Ryukyu sees it and says, was this their main vehicle, and this was just a decoy? What's going on? And Froppy tries to stop it by throwing her tongue out and trying to catch it, but it doesn't work. Selkie gets upset, and it's like, Froppy, are you okay? And Froppy's like, everything's fine, don't worry about it. And Ryukyu and Nejire are trying to keep up, but the plane is too fast. So this is where Chaco's part comes into play, and she's, just like all the other main characters, she has to overcome her doubts, and she's remembering the things that happened during the Class 1B fight with Deku, and she's saying that I'm not going to allow that to happen. I'm going to do everything that I can and make sure that this happens the way it's supposed to. And Ochako is released into the air, and she gets onto the plane, and she uses gunmetal karate gravity plus
Gunhead martial arts.
She just fucking body slams something.
Yeah, how about that? She can control, she can add gravity now too. I love that.
And then she took control of the plane, but she didn't know what to do. So then Selkie tried to tell her how to maneuver.
She had that other new thing, Tim, the fucking the grappling hook thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then Selkie was trying to tell her how to maneuver the plane, but it kept stalling out. And they said something, or she said, I can't let it go into the ocean because I don't want to destroy the ecosystem with all this trigger. So, and everyone's trying to help her figure out the proper way to do this. And Ryukyu says, make it weightless. And Ochako is like, I can't make it weightless. Similar to what we saw in the previous episode with Bakugo, talking about the winter affecting his explosion, Ryukyu pretty much said what Endeavor said, and not making excuses. She said, "Are you giving up?" And Ochako, in her head, was like, "No, I'm not giving up."
Who said that?
She's in it for the money.
Ryukyu said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then Ryukyu has Nejire use her power, which is called Surge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it kind of slowed down the plane for a moment. And Ochako was able to make it weightless, and everything ended up A-okay. Then we find out that the buyers gave a fake name, so the investigation can't really go anywhere. So everyone's happy, and Selkie doing his cute stuff. The older females like Ryukyu and Sirius, they don't like that. But Froppy, Nejire, and Ochako think it's cute as hell. So then, as we're preparing to see the preview, we see right before then, we see kind of big doors open up, and someone's talking to someone else who's on a balcony. That the trigger was taken from them and everything. And we found out before this, we found out that the trigger was intended to go to a European nation. And this is the first time that we've heard about another nation aside from Japan outside of the movies.
Yeah,
We've only heard about the United States because
Yeah,
of All Might.
in two heroes.
Yeah. And now we're
'Cause he
hearing
basically
about,
went like on like an excursion, you would call it. That's what me and Tim would call it.
right. When he was a young lion,
Yeah.
he went to the States for excursion.
Yeah.
But anyway, we find out that the trigger was supposed to go to a European nation. But the heroes were satisfied because now this, they don't have to worry about it. But then, like I said, we get to the point where, two doors open, someone's talking to someone else on a balcony, and they said that the trigger was intercepted. And the other person says, that's fine, we have enough to go ahead with the plan. And this person's face was like a neon blue with some darker blue in it. It was definitely a character we have never seen before on the show. And that's pretty much where the episode ends.
So
I don't want to get into the preview yet, but
I'm excited
this is
because I
kind of
can tell Tim
mind-boggling
something.
because
I can
now
tell
it
Tim something that
seems-
I know.
it seems like the people who are in control of the Liberation Front's movement are located outside of Japan.
Yeah. So I know this because of previews and like fan forums online. Blue guy is the villain, is like the head bad guy in the new movie.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. I know that they said that they're trying to make the movie standalone, but the things that are like in
Ow.
the season. That's what
I'll
I'm
tell
trying to
you
figure
what,
out.
I'm starting to think that the movie standalone thing was just fan speculation, because there's no fucking way
There's
this
no
is
way.
tied directly to what's happening right now.
Exactly. That's why I was like, it's supposed to be a standalone
It's
movie, but
surrounding
everything is.
Deku, Todoroki, and Katsuki. They've
Yeah.
shown the villain in the anime.
Mhm.
Like
When's
Exactly.
this movie
Well,
supposed
it could be standalone in
So-
the sense that it could be
It's-
a whole new sub-chapter
Bree
of
asked
the
where
manga
when the
that
movie's
goes-
coming out.
that goes into this season.
Yeah.
So like, wherever the manga readers are now, maybe
They're way
the
ahead.
story
They have to be.
that the movie's going to tell
Maybe it'll
didn't
fast forward it a
necessarily
little
happen,
bit.
but it might be. But it's like a companion.
Yeah,
piece.
because what I've heard is what they've done is they've switched the places of two of the arcs in the manga, where we're seeing it out of order, but the order doesn't really matter. Like the arc that all the manga readers are excited to see animated, I believe is coming next, where in the manga it happened now.
Okay.
I have the same question as Bree. When does the movie come out?
So, I know it comes out, I want to say the 27th in Japan. We don't know when it's coming here.
Fair enough.
Well,
But I know that it's coming out this month in Japan.
what if we based it off of when the Demon Slayer movie came out and when it came out here? What was that like? How different?
Well, even though Funimation has the rights of distributing Demon Slayer on its app, Demon Slayer is ran by different different animation groups. That's why these things become tricky, because you can find Demon Slayer on Netflix, Hulu, Funimation, Crunchyroll, everywhere. everywhere. My Hero is not on Netflix, I don't believe. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, it's on
We
Hulu.
also, both shows have been shown on Toonami because of Funimation. So if we're looking at it like that, I don't think we can rely on the difference between Demon Slayer in release in Japan to the U.S.
Yeah.
because of the distribution and the
just
different.
for the sake of argument, I did find out that it was about a month.
A month?
Yeah.
I thought it was more like half a year.
No, it said that
Demon Slayer came out in our movie theaters in like May, right?
It came out in April here.
No,
Okay.
Demon Slayer just
Demon
came
Slayer,
out a couple weeks
Demon
ago.
Slayer movie in Japan came out in like January or
Did it
like
really?
December.
Oh shit!
I think it was a while.
Oh wow. Okay.
I feel like it
But
might
I feel
also
like
take a.
with My Hero Academia,
I think it might also be taking a little longer.
yeah, because the studio who did the first season of Demon Slayer didn't know if they were going to be able to do more. So there was a lot of confusion in that area as well. And Demon Slayer is much newer of an anime than My Hero. My Hero's in its 5th season. Demon Slayer is only going into its 2nd.
Yeah.
And My Hero, even though Demon Slayer is very popular, My Hero is just as popular. And My Hero, I have a feeling they will hot shot it.
I would make
guess
the
that-
argument.
I would guess that John is right. It'll probably be a month separation.
I would make the argument that My Hero Academia is the first anime to reach the popularity level in the United States that it has since Dragon Ball Z.
Naruto.
Good call.
I would say Dragon Ball Z and
I thought
Naruto.
Naruto
Maybe One Piece.
My Hero
Maybe One
is
Piece
starting.
too.
What?
Maybe One Piece as well.
Eh.
I see a lot of gear. I don't know.
So anyway,
Okay, so we're
it
talking-
seems that we can hear Bethany and Michaela, but we cannot see them.
I mean,
My
we can see them.
laptop is dying, so I apologize.
We can see them, but they're fucking JPEG.
It's frozen.
So anyway, Brianna, what did you think about this episode?
I liked seeing the other characters. I wish we could see more with Fat Gum, and also that like lurkers or with Kamui Woods. But I liked seeing all the girls working together. That was cool.
Yeah.
I did have a question about like Ochaka's new outfit. I'm slightly confused about what exactly was her reasoning. Like, I know she got embarrassed because she was thinking of the moment that she saved Deku. But
I
was
think
like,
whenever she saved him, the other one broke.
here, or was it like there was like an opening? I thought here, right?
I don't know.
No,
Or
I
skip-
didn't see that. I didn't see that at all.
No.
No.
I think she got a new one because
I think
the
it's
whole
a
thing
pink
with
line.
Deku made some breaks in the old one.
Oh,
Made
so
some
just
holes
be
and shit.
repaired?
Possibly.
Is that what that meant? Like, I wasn't sure what it meant. Like, was there a reason why she made the changes she made, or was it just she needed a new suit because of that?
You're gonna have to ask Ochaku Uraraka.
Well,
Because I don't
okay, I
know.
think there was something I was missing.
No.
And you guys, I didn't.
No. I don't know.
Okay.
I thought she made it to kind of look more like Deku. Like I mentioned, the more
The
prominent
ears.
like earpieces. But yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was a lot more like, yeah, you're right. Like this part of it. But
Maybe
maybe
I'll have to look at another picture, but I don't know.
I think definitely like her arms were more exposed at least. Here.
Okay. Bethany and Michaela, what did you guys think?
I liked the episode. I thought it was good. I also, it was good, a good episode. Don't get me wrong, but I also like didn't see the need for this episode. But then now that I know that it's tying into the movie, like I understand the need for it
Mhm.
to like tell you like what is gonna, like what's happening and how it's gonna like play into that.
Kind of seems like one of those things where they maybe just needed an extra week to get the next episode going.
That
Or get it
harkens back
finished.
to whenever we started talking about this episode, what John said about how, anime and cartoons throw in filler episodes, but a lot of those filler episodes have important information and character development on maybe not the main characters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about Steven Universe with. Like, when you watch Steven Universe, there is at least one thing in every episode that affects the ending of the series.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
And I like this episode. I think it's really cool seeing Uraka and Froppy actually like come into their own as heroes and not like have to rely on
I
Deku.
love
But you
that-
can honestly see
yeah.
the impact not only on Uraka, but the impact Deku had on Froppy. Because when the training facility in season 1 got attacked, it was Froppy, Mineta, and Deku, and he was like, "Oh, how can we do this?" And like him having faith in each of them, like just made them more confident in what they can do and their abilities to do everything.
yeah. Like I said,
Maybe eventually people will just call Sue like she wants them to.
I know. Hopefully,
The only one who does is fucking Ito.
So we get to see the preview for next week, and I'm fucking excited, and I'm sure you guys are as well, because we're going into the part of season 5 storyline that I am most intrigued by, and
I actually did not watch the preview, so tell me
it's
about
called
no. Johnny
the
said that we.
hellish. It's called the Hellish Todoroki family.
it. That was Todoroki.
Bakugo and Deku are invited over
Oh my god.
Endeavor's house with Shoto.
Oh no.
Johnny, I'm pretty sure the exact words that came out of my cousin's mouth yesterday when I said we didn't watch the preview was, "You could just watch the preview next week when you watch the episode. Who's the dummy now? You are."
Me, usually.
I don't fully process this, man. Like, I was gonna come to this prepared.
And Deku,
that's the next
during the preview, Deku says, "It seems like Shoto has an older brother and an older sister, but we don't really see any of the hellish sides of the family." They did a good job with the preview by not giving away what's going to happen.
I
We
hope it's super fucking awkward. I hope a fight starts at the table. I want everything. I want the
I
Shrek
want
2
more
dinner
mentions
fight
of
in My Hero Academia.
I think it's gonna be hellish because it's gonna be awkward. Like Bakugo is gonna feel awkward and like hate it, and Deku is gonna be like, "What should I do? What should I do? What should I do?" Like there's gonna be some sort of situation like that. Like their anxieties are gonna be like crazy.
And Aizawa's going to be outside trying to get a cat to come see him.
Maybe I'm thinking maybe like something happens where Bakugo kind of like flips out on Endeavor instead of one of the Todoroki family members, and Endeavor has to take Bakugo aside and tell him what he's missing as a hero, which would be Kuth, but
Yeah.
intact. But yeah, that's what we got next week. So if everyone's
what did Mount
good,
Lady say to him? Oh, yeah. When Mount Lady said to Bakugo, "Oh, I see. You just have a lack of connection with humanity." Yeah. The
Maybe he
one
doesn't-
last thing that I'll mention, I loved how happy Selkie and Froppy were when they saw each other. I
Yeah.
loved that.
Mhm. I didn't feel like this week's episode was a filler episode. Like I did not feel like it was a filler episode at all.
It was just
I loved how much it was like, to me, it was like an 80s action movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
There will never
Yeah.
be a more filler episode in anime than the episode in Dragon Ball Z where Goku and Piccolo have to learn how to drive for no reason other than Chi-Chi wants them to learn how to drive. Whenever they already know how to fly. That is the most filler shit you will ever come across. Or at least I have ever
That's
come
the worst thing I've ever heard.
Oh, it's a funny episode, but it literally...
It's like the
Gives
video.
nothing.
It's like the video game Sonic Racers, where the whole thing online is, why are they driving cars? There's no way they go as fast as they run.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, we'll be back next week for
Oh yeah,
the
Hold on.
hellish Todoroki family.
I do have a question before we
Best Frozen
fully end
Face has
this.
one more thing to say.
Yes. Because I wasn't in here while we were talking about the majority of the episode. Who do we think is making the trigger? Because in season 4, the person who finalized the trigger was
Overhaul.
what were they called?
I know
Overhaul.
that it's
Overhaul.
I know it's like a black market version of the shit that Overhaul had.
Wasn't
So-
it Tomura? He took them.
No, Tomura would be
No, but he
making the
took
same
the
stuff
finished
that Overhaul has.
Okay, so
Yeah,
If he's
let's
making
think of it
anything.
like this. In the real world and in crime shows and stuff like that, a new
just be-
drug
could
becomes
just-
available,
Yeah.
and just like every other market,
Black market version
there
show up.
there
or
are other
rip-offs.
people
show up.
who rip off the
Yeah.
drug. So now that Overhaul's gone and all that stuff's gone,
There's probably
the-
just different Yakuza groups.
the underworld of Japan or whatever there's probably even more different versions by different groups. And they just focused on this one because the factory got blown up.
Yeah.
We think that this blue guy is the one making the trigger things, right?
That's not
He
what I
didn't
said.
make it.
Yeah.
He ordered.
Mm-hmm.
He ordered them,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not related to Tomura, like that.
Not
Not that we know
from
of.
what I've seen, no.
Okay.
Like, I'm stating he's the villain
Because-
in the movie as a fact. That's a fact that I know.
Mhm.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Nobody
Okay,
said they
sorry.
were going to talk.
No, on our end, it sounded like Bree was getting ready to say something.
Mm.
So I thought I cut her off.
That's what.
But I kind of feel like it's Overhaul trying to recreate the drug.
Overhaul.
Because he's not dead.
No, he just got his hands taken.
Yeah, he just got his hands taken. He's not dead. So,
I
he's trying to
imagine-
recreate the drug.
I think
I
he's in jail.
imagine he's in jail.
He's over there
Just
with a
because you're in jail
fucking...
don't mean anything.
He's over there in a fucking meth lab using a spoon with his teeth stirring shit. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
No, but like,
This motherfucker's like a monkey. He's using his feet.
He's Breaking Bad that shit, okay?
no, honestly though,
He's got a
Because
kid in a beanie making
from
it for him.
everything, from TV
Brianna
shows,
needs to
real
go
life,
to
you know,
sleep,
just
girls.
because.
We'll get her.
Okay.
I don't.
She's having trouble parallel processing 45 minutes ago. So can
Look
we
at the
just
state
let her
of
go
us.
to sleep?
But look at the state of us. They're a still image. Bree's half asleep. Him just now became engaged.
Hopefully it's a good image and I don't look like...
What does it look like?
Kayla looks alright,
Looks
best
like
fuck.
two sexy beasts. Now shut up!
I don't look
No.
The guy from Doughboys at the beach is watching, okay, Bethany? Jesus. Is that what you want to hear?
A guy. It wasn't a guy.
Whatever skillet or
Whatever
baking
piece of
sheet
cutlery
it
you were
was,
looking at.
I don't care. I'm trying to end this shit so my sister can go to sleep.
Okay.
Aw.
So with that, next week we will be back here with hopefully we will be, or we'll do a double episode in 2 weeks. Who fucking knows? Anyway, we're adults and we all have jobs and shit. So remember,
Go beyond. Plus Ultra.
I'm screaming into my mic and I'm not using it.